DUNECRAWL, the open-world action-adventure co-op game, single-player or co-op, up to 4 players, online co-op too, of course. It's a new game by Alien Trap, the developer. And shout out to Alien Trap. They are a small indie developer out of Toronto. And what I noticed, and I'm a great noticer. When I watched the IGN trailer for this game late 2025, the developer was in the comments section saying, "Hey, Dev here, let me know if you have any questions." Lee Vermeulen is his name. I believe I pronounced that right. They're in Reddit as well, and they posted for Witchwood. I believe they posted for DUNECRAWL here as well in Reddit, answering questions. And I love it because they are clearly committed and passionate about making a good game. And guess what? This is my first Alien Trap game. They didn't disappoint. This is a good, fun game that is a little niche, in the sense that it shines in co-op play. I think personally 1 to 2 players is a good time and the best way to play. In single player, it does get old. The first 5 hours, I was having a blast. But after that, in a 15-ish hour campaign, it did get a little frustrating at times for several reasons with the mechanics, but especially because it's a little bit glitchy. There are some frame rate drops you may have heard about. In 4-person co-op, especially, the game does not perform too well. I think we need a patch or two, so maybe we can let the developers figure this out. This is an issue a lot of people have reported, and it seems quite fixable. So we can see what they do. And again, they're quite committed, which I respect. But here is what I love, and why I recommend this game is because the art design is great. It looks great for a small indie company, and I appreciated the design of the open world desert style. There are some areas to explore in this big desert, and although not the largest open world game of all time, you did get that feeling to want to wander off and see what's over there. Let's check the next couple islands or fight a crawler in the middle of this desert and see what happens, right? And it immerses you like an open world should. There are these little islands kind of dispersed throughout the desert. They're called little islands, little villages that you can help save. Now, in these villages and throughout the landscape, it's inhabited by the Poloi, who are your people. They're called the crab keepers, if you will. The crab keepers are just trying to worship some beetles and live their life when all of a sudden these evil humanoid vassals, they are called, come in and raid the villages. They are the enemies, and they're trying to take over the Poloi's turf, which ain't cool. And all the little Poloi and even the enemies are these fun little adorable-looking guys that are in cool little garbs and masks that when they talk, they kind of remind me of the Jawas from Star Wars for some reason. But they're adorable little guys, and the humanoid vassals, they're the enemy. They can be a couple different styles. They have like sword and shield melee, ranged guns, or even grenaders. Some different sized guys who hit harder and are even harder to kill. They have these clay turrets and clay cannon launchers that mixes up the combat a little bit. Now, the main enemy is called the ceramicist. Yes, like the practice of ceramics, clay pottery. The whole plot was quite comical, and whether you play with a buddy or solo, you will absolutely laugh. This ceramicist is spreading his agenda, if you will, through your desert, and he's trying to push you and all the Poloi cult style to give up your soul pretty much to a clay pot and ascend to the afterlife. Really riveting stuff. And even the stuff they shout when they try to take over a village or raid a village is so funny, and it's a really cool idea. Now, the combat was fun, and this was definitely a positive of the game. I alluded to it getting frustrating in the intro, and I'll tell you why. But the combat was fun. You had an inventory, a couple talismans equipable, which were like passive buffs or damage buffs you could add. Not like crazy inventory slots like Path of Exile, World of Warcraft, or Diablo, where you have 20 different slots to fill. It's just a head, armor, and a couple slots for some buffs to equip. But my favorite was the weapon wheel. There's a bunch of different fun weapons you could use, from melee to ranged, and it reminded me of Skyrim and even Oblivion in the sense that it had the wheel where you could scroll with the mouse or you could hit control on the keyboard to quick navigate through which weapon or which grenade or bomb or rifle or axe you wanted, etc. The controls did take some time on PC. It feels like it would be smoother than using like an analog controller, but I don't know. I played keyboard mouse. You use standard WASD QE controls, and you control your weapon or direction you're going with your mouse. So I know my fellow World of Warcraft players picked it up quick. Now, to knock this system a little bit, the controls became so frustrating at times because it was quite glitchy and the frame rate drops didn't help. This was especially clear when you were mounted. So you could be on foot or you could be mounted on a desert-like creature like a beetle or a scorpion, and it was brutal controlling these. They would get stuck in doors, they'd get stuck behind walls, and maybe it was deliberately difficult by the developer, but I get so frustrated easily in games. I got to watch myself and try not to smash a keyboard. So, needless to say, maybe it was deliberate to make these creatures or your little polo-y character difficult to steer or control at times. But again, I got quite frustrated, but hey, to each their own, right? Now, I did play a majority of my hours in single player mode, which was fun for the gameplay, but it was much more fun with a buddy. The co op experience makes it so much better with this style of game, particularly. And especially when you're using the DUNECRAWL or a mounted beetle. One person shooting, another person steering. It's a co-op mechanic that will stand the test of time and never get old. We loved it. We had a blast. Now, with the single player AI, the artificial intelligence, it was kind of unremarkable. It wasn't great. And one of the only actual characters that is in the game is the Old Keeper. He's an old timer who, if you play in single player, again, he's the AI. He's the AI character you have exclusively. He's the only one. And you have him on the DUNECRAWL crab. You control the Old Keeper. He had a hard time, man. He was trying his best out there. He got stuck. He had way too much trouble trying to heal the crawler. You could command the Old Keeper to do different actions, and he did okay shooting some cannons. But again, single player, I found the best way to battle the other dune crawlers. These dune crawlers, I didn't even mention. That's your way of navigating through the desert, and you battle other dune crawlers as well. So I found the best way to battle was to really just to launch myself via a cannon, which was so much fun and a great mechanic. But you could launch each other or yourself over to the enemy DUNECRAWL crab and jack everyone up manually, or you could wait and wait and wait for the Old Keeper AI to shoot it down with cannons. So I'm impatient, needless to say. I just shot myself over there and took care of business. But speaking of the Old Keeper, it was him, a shaman, and the villain, the main villain, really, as the only true or real characters almost throughout the whole damn game. I talked about the vassals, the enemy. They're called the vassals, right? And the design being very cool. So I did want more out of the story, more lore about the Polo-E, about the history, about the enemies, about the desert and the world. They had little instances where you could read a bit about an island, read a bit about a religion or a sign that someone wrote, but nothing that really expands this universe in a way you want to learn more about. So that's another quick knock. I wanted to know more about this desert. The dune crawlers were a big part of the game. 50% damn near you're navigating that crawler in the desert. And it's cool. You can upgrade the cannons, the armor of the crawler in addition to your gear. And the highlight of the game for me were little dungeons you could find tucked away on the islands. These were great. They had cool design. They weren't too complex or massive, but they had fun puzzles with a bunch of loot that changed up the mechanics of the game slightly. So if you see that random open door when you're on an island, dive in and get that experience. All in all, for the price of this game, you get some fun gameplay, absolutely worth it with a buddy. The combat shines navigating through these islands and the great big desert with your crawler, so definitely a recommended play. I'm kind of like a 7 to 8 out of 10. There's some areas I want the devs to address with the performance, and hey, maybe if this game does well, and I hope it does, we will see some DLC or something with some expanded lore that would be sweet. And guess what? You'll see me back here making another video. So I hope they take care of business. I hope they do it. Again, it's less than a $20 game, so you can't argue it. 1 to 2 players, definitely a fun play. So I will be watching for Alien Trap's next game. So best of luck to that studio and Lever Mullen. He seems like he really cares. And next up and coming, if you're new to watching, thank you for making it this far into the video. But I'm building a community of people interested in playing reviewing and having dialogue about games. So let me know if you're interested. Subscribe or email me. I'll see you in the community or the comments. Next up and coming is Mio, Memories in Orbit is the game. Indie Studio. It's January 20th release, so pretty soon upcoming. It looks amazing. Real cool art and style design and Metroidvania, so you know I'm in. And then Code Vein 2, which is January 30th, I believe. It's an action RPG Souls-like. So at least at first glance, it looks that way. So that should be fun. And I believe Code Vein 2 is Bandai Namco as the developer. And I loved Digimon's Story, A Time Stranger. Actually, you know what? I'm saying this out loud. And Bandai Namco published Digimon Story. They did not develop it. But anyway, should be fun. If you have any recommendations or games that you want to play and we could review, let me know as well. I don't have too much of a set schedule yet. So love you all. Thank you for listening.